Good evening. Good evening, beautiful people. Liam is my name. Today is Sunday evening, the 21st of November 2021, and it's 7 p.m. Central European Time. It's 6 p.m. UK time and it's 8 p.m. South African time. I mention South Africa because that's where I grew up. That's where I have many friends and people that I love and care about. Myself, my person, I live in a very small town called Eckernförde in northern Germany, where I've been here for a very long time. Well over 30 years now I've been living here. And this evening, thanks be to God, I'm able to present some of the new work that I've been writing over the last month. The last two sessions that I intended to give a poetry presentation, I was very ill. I had a lung infection very close to pneumonia, and as you all know, that really wiped me out as far as energy was concerned. But there you are, I'm back. I'm feeling my old self, full of goodwill and happy as can be, recovered, and looking forward immensely to sharing this evening with you. Good evening, Simona. Nice that you've made it. Yes, it's in these trying times that we're living in, and they are difficult, if it's alone the news that you orientate on, what we get to hear every day about this new wave of COVID, all the news that we hear is tremendously depressing, and how can we as human beings, what can we bring to the table? Good evening, Carol. What can we bring to this table of life using this moment in our own lives and in the biography of planet Earth to be creative, to bring something unique and new and strong and dynamic and full of life to the table of who we are. Now, that might sound very idealistic, but it's not that difficult, and it's not just an idea, because I'm a teacher, I'm a coach, and I'm a trainer, and I see this again and again and again with the people, the young folk that I work with adults that I work with. The mind itself is the most amazingly powerful organ. It's the most complicated thing in the whole of the universe. But nowhere down the line of our lives, or very, very, very seldom, have we actually been given an instruction manual of how to actually use our brains, the organ, and the mind, which is the operating system, to enable us to become the most powerful, creative, happy, and dynamic persons that we know. And it's these ideas of how we can change the mind that inspire me to write poetry. Now, I was just thinking before this presentation of some of the topics that I write about. If you want to enrich your life, you need to turn towards literature which inspires you, which fills your moment with something unique, individual, and new, to take you away from the gloom and despair of what it is that we are exposed to day in and day out, hour by hour, with the news broadcasts that hear us. They broadcast news of disaster. They don't broadcast news of inspiration, of joy, happiness, and love. But these are the qualities which make us unique. These are the qualities we need to transform and enrich our own personal lives and our own personal worlds. And when we start to connect and unite those worlds with one another, the dynamic force, the creative power of love, not an emotional love, but an energetic, creative way of stepping forward into each and every day. This energy combined with one another is an immense force. But we have not been trained to utilize it. So what do we do with the situation? Nobody's going to come knocking at your door to save you and give you a wonderful, happy day, to lift you out of a sad and tragic situation, which we all have. No one other than yourself. And again, I come back to the poetry because it's the self, it's the being, it's the mind, it's the invisible. It's the very substance of who we are and how we can ignite within that depth of our own awareness something which is uniquely you, which is uniquely me. And the poetry is just like a little piece of the puzzle. The poetry is there to inspire, to laugh, to smile. It's about love. It's about all of the positive things which we need. We don't only need food to live, we need emotional love. We need happiness and joy and all of that energy which comes from no one else other than who we are. Okay? So that's why I'm here. That's what I write about, and that's my intention. That is my manifesto, and that's my motto. When I pick up one of these books, which are filled 230, 220 pages, let me give you an idea, just an idea of the topics about which these poems are being categorized in. For example, children's poems. You'll always smile when you read a poem about a child because you'll recognize yourself or your own children or your grandchildren. Silly poems, fun poems, inspirational poems. There are an awful lot of inspirational poems. Love poems, emotional love, deep spiritual love. Poems about nature, loads and loads of poems from atoms to bees, creation, forest, spring, paradise, blossoms, orchards, rainbows, shells, springs, star showers, cold white snow, winters. They're poems about the spirit. Challenges, the dragonfly, emerge, gold, silence, music, and on and on. Poems on traveling. So this is the idea. How do we enrich the moment of our lives such that we don't just have to carry and bear this incredible burden of a pandemic situation which weighs on a lot of people, but to transform that attitude into one of what an amazing opportunity we have now to look at the life we have and inspire ourselves to do something different. After a month of being away, I've got 8 new poems that I'd like to share this evening. Good evening, Alan. Alan, nice that you made it. Well done. The poem, I'm going to start with this poem called The Leaves. This I wrote this morning. I love to wake up in the morning. I get up early, I get myself a cup of coffee and I sit in bed, and this is my cognitive thinking mind has not yet really clicked in, so I'm still half dreamy, daisy, sleepy. And that's when I have most of my inspiration. That's when I feel very creative, and that's when I'm able to bring words to paper. And that's when this particular poem happened this morning. So I'm thrilled to share it with you. It's so to speak, directly straight from heaven. And here we go. It's called The Leaves. So I'm going to read it and then I'll talk about it. The moment love lights up, my face becomes my eye. My eyes become these hands, touching not you nor your space, molding rather the breath we breathe, creating an idea of how two could turn to one, how the invisible becomes tangible to touch, while my feet step on thin air, particles of dust, now solid stones, upon which we walk together. Hands, eyes, feet, no longer of significance. Just the light, filtering gently through these leaves of life, filling this vibrant moment with memories. Filling this vibrant moment with memories. So there's the idea of my face becoming my eye. My face transforms in the moment love lights up. My eyes become hands, touching not you nor your space, no, but rather molding the breath we breathe. This is the idea of the creative mind actually molding and moving and creating with the invisible. Creating an idea of how two could turn to one. How you and I, you and you, unite. How the invisible becomes tangible to touch, while my feet step on thin air. Particles of dust, now turned to solid stone. So there you can see this movement of stepping out of the real world and stepping onto particles of dust, moving together into something which is greater than our own physicality. Hands, eyes, feet, no longer of significance. All of this becomes insignificant. But what remains is the light filtering gently through the leaves of life, filling this vibrant moment with memory. So there you are, you leave the world of the physical world, and you merge with the light filtering through the leaves of life, and in that you unite with who you are and where you're going and who you love and what you mean and what you want to share and give. I absolutely love that poem. I do. For me, it's a very beautiful poem. So, whoever's there, wonderful that you could make it. I'm always so thrilled that I have an audience that actually wants to listen to poetry. I always say, use what I call divergent focus. And all that means is to step back in your own listening and cut off, maybe even close your eyes, cut off your sight, bring your intense focus into listening to the content. And in that listening, you might discover a resonance with something which is already in your own subconscious mind. Words creating images, creating thoughts and ideas which are already part of who you are. And here the idea of inspirational poetry is that you hear something which wakes it up, which takes you from where you are to where you could be going. So, with Divergent Focus, the second poem I'm sharing with you is called Morning Mist. And again, this is a nature poem. It's something, just the idea of the morning, these beautiful autumn mornings when you wake up early and you gaze out across the fields and you have this veil, these veils which enrapture the trees and the forests and our homes, our eyes and our ideas. So the metaphor is of course nature, yeah? Morning mist. She quietly throws her veil, early morning, to catch the dew. Day-breaking colours creeping skyward too. Mists, the garb of nature, hail, a returning of life's rich bouquet. Spread wide, they lie new upon the day. Curling wisps, caught by the chimney's pot, address my thoughts of your regress, of how you left the table in distress, swirls of braid in red, eyes damp and hot. A question remains. Oh, don't ask. Take the new light, dawn to heart. What's been has night's rejuvenating start. Answers are there in a veil of silent mist. Darkness hid the flowers and the fruit, yet it's truth which returns with youth. So it's a nature poem. It's a poem of waking up in the morning, in a way reflecting about a sad moment the evening before. Curling wisps caught by the chimney's pot. So there you are, there's that little curl of mist coming into your own personal life, reminding you, addressing thoughts of your regress, of how you left the table in distress, swirls of braid in red, eyes damp and hot. That's all imagery which is reminding you of something which happened yesterday evening, which someone you love, someone you know, left the table in tears. And then you say, the question remains, but don't ask it. Allow the rejuvenating power of the night. What's been has night's rejuvenating start, answers in a veil of silent mist. So the answers come in the morning, hidden in the mist of the new day. Darkness hid the flowers and the fruit. Darkness hid the flower and the fruit, yet it's truth which returns with youth. And so as the morning awakes, the light reveals the flower and the fruit and the truth of the evening. and you can step into the new day rejuvenated and refreshed. Anne Waits, what a pleasure. Lovely, an old school friend. Thank you so much for your time. Wonderful that you made it. It's an evening of reading some poetry which has been written in the course of the last month. I haven't been around, I've been ill, but I'm back on top and feeling fine and reading some of the work as yet not published. So bear with me, I'm going to be reading these poems, and then what I'd love to do, if you still have a moment of time, I'm going to ask you to give me a number and I will read you a poem from one of the books. Okay, these are the 3 books. It's coming after I've finished reading the poem. So stick with me, stick around for a couple of minutes. As I said, the poems are here to inspire, to enjoy, to relax, to let go, and to actually communicate with who it is, your deep intrinsic self, your subconscious mind. This poem is called The Prophet. It's called not The Prophet, Profit. And it's profit in the sense of monetary gain. So again, a poem, a completely different topic, but nevertheless, as you will hear, I somehow always manage to bring it back into the moment. So there we go. Enough. I'll just read it and then we can look at it, think about it. And if you have a question, please write them into the comment bar. I'm sure everyone has the possibility to make a comment if you like. So here we go, Prophet. Although we never forget about the prophet, let's remember who it is that cares little about the numbers, who instead seeks the accountability in me. The prophet here is not a coin, but contentment. Gratification the soul creates as true wealth in me. Let's fill my life's wallet with loving. This is treasure stashed wherever life taught me to be. Wealth given open-handed, once knowing, all we need is to care, is to see. This idea is written in our nature, the ethics we know that are true. Now look through the eyes of those crying, lost, and dying, searching to be free. Yeah, the poem, there you are. The poem in a way broaches the idea of wealth and profit. What is real wealth? Is it really the size of your house or the age of your car or what it is? You know? The real wealth is, in a way, discovering the enormous potential we have as individuals, as human beings. And here the poem says, although we never forget about the prophet, I mean, our lives are so dominated with the reality of actually, at the end of the month, having to earn enough money to keep us going. I mean, that is our reality. But let's not forget, or as the poem says, let's remember, who cares little about the numbers, who instead seeks the accountability in me. The prophet here is not a coin, but it's contentment, gratification. The soul creates as true wealth in me. Gratification. What is gratification? Gratification is when you yourself have been active in adding to your own wallet of life and filling it with creativity and love. With a grateful heart, you said it. This is treasure, stashed wherever life taught me to be. Wealth given open-handed, once knowing, all we need is to care, is to see, to open our eyes. This idea is written in our nature. This is something intrinsic to our very humanity. Is a deep-seated ethical feeling of responsibility for everything else in our lives. Not only ourselves, but everything else and everyone else. The ethics we know are true. And the last line of the poem says, look through the eyes of those crying, lost, and dying. And that is a very deep, moving, and powerful moment in anybody's life. We're confronted with poverty and desperation day in and day out here in Northern Europe, much less than down there in South Africa, which is, it's terrible. But you are confronted with it. And what do you do with it? How do you use that recognition in yourself to step forward with compassion and to be compassionate, to be caring, loving, and compassionate, to see people in their need and to recognize them as full human beings in their desperate situation. Yeah, it's not only just about giving, but about sharing. Sharing a conversation, sharing a thought. This next poem is called The Fall. And this poem is about to care, to sacrifice, yeah. The poem I'm going to read to you now is about the fall, and what it really and truly means is falling, how we, each of us, every single one of us listening this evening, and my goodness gracious me, myself included, how often, have fallen into that deep well of feeling lost, lonely, helpless, insufficient, unhappy. What does that actually mean? Because it's part of who we are. And what do we do with it to transform it? As I began the evening, when we listen to the news that we're bombarded with hour by hour, day by day, it's no wonder people get depressed. And the only way out, and there is a way out, is this identification of your own inner strength and your own inner soul power and how you define it. So, the fall. Listen up, listen deep. You see me so clearly, how all I want is this. The darkness from the endless fall, consumed, digested and transformed. Then the light, the shimmering flight of a new ascent. It's the smiling faces, each full of hope and which embrace the change, the challenge, the scope of it all. From consummation of the dark, we draw those understandings into new realities, lifting, opening up the horizon to make me realize it's been here in me all along. Hope. Hope. We always have hope. And when you see someone on the street in desperation, the greatest gift is to give them hope. And in your own lives and in our own lives, when we are in those desperate moments ourselves, it's hope that we reach for. Rumi once said, it's a beautiful, simple little quote, and he said, through the cracks, it's the cracks when you crumble and start to break with the despair, with sadness, whatever it might be, it's in the cracks which create a space for the light to come through. And that's the challenge in a way, is to recognize that even when something is broken, it's going to emit light. It'll create the space for something new to shine in and awaken within yourself. This is an old poem. It's from a couple of years ago, but nevertheless, I thought I'd just put in an old poem, something which has been published, and it's called The Way. And perhaps it addresses this idea that from desperation and loneliness, there's always a way. For a moment brief, I'll hold your hand, stroke the smile upon your cheek, read your lips, they speak, whisper, whisper, whisper deep. My sweetness, gentle off to sleep. The day now warm in blankets kept, my memory fond the hours slept, till waking calls beams thrown on high, new begins, the day is nigh. Laughter spins, wind does caress, hair is blown into a mess, a tangled head of smiles fly high, sparkle blue, a twinkle, an eye. Will we share and find anew the us, the me, the you? Yes, indeed, this is the day when we will part. Or should this really be the start of something new, of friends just found, of love and life, and spin me round. Hold me tight, share this one more night, then letting go I fly, be gone, into the setting sun, be back at breaking dawn, to talk and laugh, to love and play, together. There is always a way. So the poem shares with us this dynamic moment between a couple who don't really know how it's going to go on. Yes, indeed, this is the day when we will part. Or should this really be the start of something new? And that's the light shining through the crack of something new, of a new friendship just found, of love and life, and spin me round. Share this one more night, then let go, I fly, be gone. Into the setting sun, be back at dawn. There you are, this I'll be gone. It's not just to be gone for a night, but it's to be gone into into something that you need to discover for yourself. Sometimes we need to be alone to discover who we are. When we're together in a partnership, we share our uniqueness with one another in a partnership. And sometimes when that uniqueness is no longer recognized, we have forgotten ourselves, who we are in our uniqueness. And we need to be alone to rediscover, to redefine, to challenge ourselves, to inspire who we are. And when we come back into the relationship, that is what we can talk about and share. To talk and laugh, to love and play. Together, there's always a way. Here's a very short, succinct little poem. Martina, lovely that you made it. Thank you. Thank you for your time. Thank you, Anne. Time is so important for everybody. Time to discover who you are. And this, thinking about the whole COVID thing, and so many millions, tens of millions of people being required officially to isolate. This has given humanity a chance to take a breath from the breathless world of amusement and functionality that we've all been caught up in. It's been the moment for us to be alone, to be isolated, to protect ourselves, and to reflect about the essential nature of what makes us human. It's like we live in a world of diverse distraction. But the fundamental there you are, I'm speaking German, the fundamental common denominator within that is who you are. And unless you can create a loving, dynamic, creative relationship with yourself, when that starts to happen, when you take steps in that direction, and as you can see, these words, these poems, these ideas and thoughts all move in that way, in that direction, discovering our own invisible nature. It's a path, it's a journey of recognizing who we are. It's a moment of understanding where we are. And it'll take you from one day into the next. I implore everyone, Joanne, wonderful, great. Greetings to Fishhook. Poetry can be a vehicle of inspiration. I mean, fundamentally, all you really want to do is find inspiration so that you can take your own ideas, your own uniqueness, and to find a way of making it expressive and sharing it with everyone else. Sharing it with the world, but share it with yourselves. Now, this little poem is called The Secret. So, is it a secret? A catalyst? Is it a secret, or could it be a catalyst in your own life? So listen up. Here we go once again. This is now poem number 6. There's a secret to search for, a secret also to be found. This wisdom is so ineffable. Although this builds the very ground, the motion of the universe and its beating heart in me, which wakens the morning's blossoms, the laughing thunder of the sea. If you find that secret life of who am I, choose God's one true partner. This love you found inside. That's the secret. You see? So let's go through that poem just one more time. And I'll stop as I'm going through it and enable you in a way to pick up on some of the metaphor and the ideas and images and thoughts. Because as I said, it's very succinct, and it's very succinct, of course, meaning short and compact. There's a secret to search for, a secret also to be found. So it's something which we all have secretly inside of us, in this invisible world of our minds, of our subconscious and conscious minds. This wisdom is so ineffable. So what does ineffable mean? Ineffable describes, it's a magnificent word to explain something which is there, but you need to work on it, act on it, deal with it in your own individual particular way. It's ineffable. Yeah? It's a secret. It's ineffable. But although this builds the very ground, the motion of the universe and its beating heart in me. So this secret builds the ground, the motion of the universe and its beating heart in me, which wakens the morning blossom, the laughing thunder of the sea. If you find that secret of life, of who am I? Who am I? Choose God's one true partner. This love you found inside. Yeah? That is the secret. That is what laughs with the thunder of the oceans, which awakens the morning blossoms, which keeps the universe in motion and keeps this heart beating inside me. It's that secret, yeah, that ineffable secret. So, poem number 7. I'm so thrilled you're still there, everyone. Beatrice, well done. All the way from England. Thank you for finding the time to make it. My words. Again, a very short little poem about words. With words, I have tried to understand things. Still, when we communicate with the heart, what is understood will always be more subtle. For these things are silent, are felt. Your listening is also deeper when feeling. A smile, though, is your most lovely reply to my laughter. Your smile is the most lovely reply to my laughter. So communicate. When we communicate with one another, do it in a loving way. That's, I suppose, the main idea of this poem, you know. Words, we communicate. We use words as a vehicle with which we communicate with one another. So when we communicate with someone, do it lovingly, do it caringly, you know, respectfully. Even as we mentioned earlier in that one poem, someone is suffering. We can step forward and see through their eyes, yeah? And what do we recognize? It's so wonderful, these poems somehow do fall into place, one after the other, each poem in a way building upon the ideas and the thoughts which have come from the previous. This poem is called Recognition. So from words, where do we go? We go to recognition. When you look at me, my beloved, this, what you see is not the me you love or cherish deep within your soul. This is only my house, wherein I reside. That invisible, this eternal, which I recognize as I look, this universal which you identify with, dreamily gazing into these deep blue eyes, is what we share, what we both come from and recognize. If love this be, then it's not me or you that loves. It's that which flows through us. It's the joy of recognition that we are of one source, enriched, laughing, and playfully dancing with the sun and moon, children of the earth, gifted and graced with life. We now choose to share. We now choose to bear. We now choose to love. We now choose to love. So let's just go back into the content once again. And it's the idea of, when you look at me, my beloved, this what you see is not the me you love or cherish deep inside within your soul. When we look at someone and we recognize and we feel and we understand the meaning of love, it has nothing to do with the other person. It's something which is a reflection of your own experience, the experience of what we share, of what we both come from and recognize. If love this be, then it's not me or you that loves. It's that which flows through us. So here the idea, the recognition that the energy is not an emotionality, it's an energy. It's something which touches every single living being on this planet. And not only humans, our pets, the nature, these magnificent wild animals that have emerged through countless millions of years of evolution. This is all an expression of one universal energy. And to recognize that, that we are of this source, this one creative source, enriched, laughing, and playfully dancing with the sun and moon, children of the earth, gift and gracious with life. We choose to share, we choose to bear, we choose to love. It's a choice. It's a choice that we make. It's a choice that we make. And with that, I'm finished with the poems. Thank you for listening. If you still have a little bit of stamina, which I sincerely hope you do, because I would love to read you a poem. Anne, I'd love to read you a poem. Give me a number please, of a page. What happens here is that energetically, intuitively, as you will soon recognize, Michael, 42, coming up. 42, Michael. These poems, in a way, magically somehow connect with where you are, what you are. And number 8. Beatrice. Anyone else? A number between 1 and I've got 212 pages in this book, and I've got 230 pages. 252 pages in this book. So, while I'm just waiting for people to type in some numbers, I want to tell you some really maths, Martina, 150. Martina. I am going to be together with a friend of mine that I've met through this poetry presentation. I'm going to be creating a course on writing poetry, how you do it, how you connect to your creativity, what grammatical backgrounds that you need. Nicole, wonderful. What a surprise. 77, yeah. I'm going to be doing a course on how to write creative poetry, how you go about doing it in all of its facets, and it'll be a step-by-step walk you through, take you down that road of writing. So if any of you love to write, keep your eyes open, because this will be coming up. It's actually on the cards, and I will be presenting this to an international audience. So, enough said, let's go. Let me start reading some of your poems, and I'm going to start with Nicole. Great that you can make it. Page 77. And this poem, I'll tell you, it's inspirational poetry. It's inspirational poetry, Anne, thank you. And it's called Evening Rest. So, Nicole Wittinghofer, listen up. Here we go. Evening Rest. As this day now leaves to lie, rays once warm, they fill the sky, in colours changing to heaven bright. The blues to hues of reds, the white, the golden might of a day departed, and with me too, one more moment of bliss complete, of touch and love, of fleeting happy you. Yes, you, an angel dancing high, dancing clouds you cross my eye. Your horizon lies with me this day. You fill the night with a starry sky, with sparks, with thoughts, with dreams. With intervening flashes, we unite, building a picture, a cosmology, a heaven, a party book of light. Closing now my eyes to sleep, the wonder in my breast I'll keep, till waking nigh on morning's wing, anew, a day together, we'll sing. So there you are. Isn't that a beautiful poem? About someone that you love, someone that you fall asleep with and you wake up on morning's wing, full of wonder and care. So thank you. Thank you, Nicole. Right, let's move on. Michael, 42. I'm interested. We've had a couple of crackers in the past. So 42, just that you know, falls under the category of emotional poetry, and it's called My Perception. So listen up. This is about perception, my perception, we call it. Yeah? Each day sends me a teacher. My eyes, that seeing is not all sight. My words, that talking could contribute to understanding. my deeds that doing ought be helping. Perception is also communication with the divine, where life manifold and rich shares its mystery with my depth of awareness. It's in the quietude of silence, though, in the stillness of peace, I lose the self within the ocean, afloat, a swimming in me. I become the drop you see. I become the wet you touch. I think these thoughts of you so much. My perception. So it's all about how we perceive, yeah? Just to keep that in mind. Everything that you perceive, it's how you perceive it. Because we can perceive things so differently. So what we were talking about beforehand, bringing the energy, the perception of love to what it is that you see and perceive changes the very thoughts that they create through the medium of your senses, right? Each day brings you a teacher, Michael. Your eyes that not all seeing is sight. I think that's great. That says so much. What we're seeing is not sight, but it's what we perceive, right? Perception is communication. Life, manifold and rich, shares its mystery with my depth of awareness. The mystery and the depth comes with the fine-tuning of your own awareness. In the quietude of silence, though, and this is the denominator, which will always enable you to reach back and to pull up the treasure of your own deep understanding, is the quietude. In the stillness of peace, I lose the self within the ocean, afloat, a swimming in me. I become the drop you see. I become the wet you touch. I think these thoughts of you so much, of you, not just me. It's not the you over there, but it's the you of yourself that you see, that you come into contact with. Thank you for that one. Thank you. Where are we? We have now had Nicole, Michael. I am now going to read Anne, number 8. Anne, number 8. And 8 falls under the category of emotional poetry. So listen up. The poem is called Each. It's in the 3rd volume of New Millennium Poetry. And it's called Each. Here we go. Each will one day leave on their journey, asking questions, then finding the answers. The stillness of the road bears witness to those secrets revealed. Avoid advice from those still sitting on the fence. That pain of waiting is an answer unto itself. Let your passion be a compass, for love will manifest as you move towards it, bubbling up as pure nectar from the fountain, flowing unceasingly from the heart. Just start. So, isn't that cool? That fits really to this whole idea that, we've been touching on from different angles and different aspects, different facets. The journey of your own discovery. Each will one day leave on their journey. Every single one of us. That's what life is actually here for. It's actually, what else is there to do? This is my perception at the moment is this is why we are here to do it. How do you get there? Asking questions, then finding answers. The stillness of the road bears witness to the secrets revealed. Again, it's always go and find the silence of your own space, of your own quietude. Avoid advice from those still sitting on the fence. That's also a good one. Move towards. The pain of waiting is an answer unto itself. The pain of waiting. So if someone's not on the move, if someone is not filled with a passion, then it is a pain unto itself. Let your passion be your compass, for love will manifest as you move towards it. Love will manifest as you move towards it. So is this emotional love? No, this is energetic. This is, in a way, your own recognition that what you are doing is the right thing because it feels good. This is love in another form, bubbling up as pure nectar from the fountain, flowing unceasingly from the heart. That is the love. That is the road that you move forward with, revealing the secrets of who you are and what you have to give. So, thank you for that. That was, again, perfect. And now we've done, are those the 4 that we've done? Yeah, those are the 4. Nobody else typing something in? Because what I will do, I will now do a poem, also just off the cuff, out of the book, and say goodnight. Falling in love. There you are. Page 123. Falling in love. The last one. To fall in love with the love you've fallen in love with. This is not madness, nor a soliloquy. It's me, the universe, and God, in quiet conversation, each sharing the quintessential idea of now, in a way which requires reflection, creativity, and selflessness. Let's do this in union, singing songs and spinning helplessly under the stars, each becoming the other, as we recognize love in love with love. Angela de Villiers, lovely that you've made it right at the very, very end of this poetry reading. Wonderful that you made it. I will read the poem so that you can hear these words, because in a way they capture the whole idea of the whole evening, which I think has been brilliant. And it's called Falling in Love. To fall in love with the love you've fallen in love with. What an idea is that? To fall in love with the love that you've fallen in love with. It's not madness nor a soliloquy. It's me, the universe and God, in quiet conversation, each sharing the quintessential idea of now, in a way which requires reflection, creativity, and selflessness. Let's do this in union, singing songs and spinning helplessly under the stars, each becoming the other, as we recognize love in love with love. So, the idea of yourself, God, and the universe, of which we are all a unique part. They all belong to who we are. And in this, each of these aspects of our own personality communicating with one another. And in that, creating the quintessential idea of now. Whoa! Boo! Love it! Good night, everyone. Thank you for being here. It's such a pleasure. It's so wonderful to be healthy and strong and back in my creative energy. Take care. Stay healthy. Get vaccinated. I've got the third one coming up. And I look forward to another poetry evening in 2 weeks' time. Good night. God bless. Namaste.